G'day guys, the sun might be a bit ugly in this one, but I'm going to get on because I'm putting together this LS400 engine. It's had a pretty serious refab and I'm down to all those last little niggly jobs that don't really have a home in the other jobs. They kind of do, but they kind of don't. So let's put together the last little bits anyway. Let's get straight into this. We're going to start by putting on the IACV, idle air control valve, plug the new plug in, and I've lost my nuts. Hate it when I lose my nuts. So this unit has been rebuilt, had a new set of bearings put on it, and there is a new gasket. You'll notice that the wiring loom is on. You'll notice in a moment the throttle body will be on. So it's got a new hose, new emission hose underneath. Breather hose. Seeing the last one had done 23 years of use, it was time for a new one. On like so. There was a new gasket in there. In she goes. And pop the TPS on. Bolts are in here. So they're nice and simple to get at, providing you know exactly where you're poking your bolt. If you just try poking it, probing it around in there, you're probably going to end up with the bolt in the valley. So I don't recommend that. Right, with that done, there's this tube here. It's the breather for the fuel tank. It goes on the top of the throttle body. Rightio. Thermostat housing. Already has a new O-ring on. And if you can see some fluid on it, it's just rubber grease. You can see there's a groove in this one. That's for your silicone. Oh, it just sits into the hole. Ching, ching, ching. Just pushes in nicely. Right, and just watch that O-ring doesn't try to climb out, and just sit it nicely in the hole, and in it should slide. Like that, beauty. At this point, we'll put a brand new thermostat in it. Put the little bleeder to the top and a brand new cover. I think with that done, we'll put a coil in. Actually, no, I'm not going to put the coil in because I want to put the leads on before I put the coil on. But I'll put the other side coil on. So these have a 14mm head on the side of the head. The bolt has a 14mm head. Because this is Gen 2, the coil points forwards. Okie dokie. Oh, we might do these up. I have put new bearings into this one. And that one. Hey. Oh, now what's happening there? This plate is rubbing. Next I'm putting an alternator on it, and this is when I realise I haven't rebuilt the loom that runs to the alternator, and it's buggered as well. Oh. Although in this case I might admit defeat and put another one on, because I have got a couple of good ones. Now that bottom pivot bolt will also have hold a transmission bracket, so 2 bolts for the alternator, but I'll just pop that bottom one off later when I put the trans on. That's the alternator on. I fixed the bearing, rubbing, and I decided to put that top coil bracket on. I've just undone the screws because it's quite easy to take the coil off when I do the leads. I haven't put leads on it because I wish to crank up oil pressure. Power steer pump. Rebuilt power steer pump going on. Two bolts at the back. Is this going to be the best way? I also have this bracket that needs to go in. Yep, that'll go in just fine. And then again, through here, we've got a nut. And through here, we've got a bolt. So there's 4 bolts on the power steer. I will show you why I replaced the alternator and the power steer. That's why. That's why. And that's why. And you'll see here, this is broken off. So we're going to fit a new one of those, a replacement. And it's got to find one, and we'll pop another idle up on it. Found a replacement valve, and in it goes. We'll do our best not to break that when we put it all together. There we go. We'll run some hoses for that soon. However, I want to put this one on. Now, if you're doing a conversion, engine swap, often you won't use this pipe. It goes off to the expansion bottle. But in this case, we are, because it is a factory car. Ooh. And around the side. Right, wiring loom can go on. So this clips on here, like so. And then this comes down here, this bit comes down here. Clips there like that, and it goes along the side to the oxygen sensor, and it clips onto the trans lines as well. Next, I'm putting on the oil filter housing. So this is being LS400, has the oil cooler. And yes, it has a new gasket in it. Okay, nut. Bolt under here. And the earth bolt here, which is a 14mm head, and it has the earth strap coming down from the battery. Right. I'm going to attempt to put some new hose on it. Hose. I did a video about hose the other day. Different kind of hose though. I've got some heater hose here, some 1/2 inch. I think it's going to be able to work. So I'm going to do that, and I'll come back to you once I'm done. Oh, I think that might be a pass. Look at that. It's a bit neater than what was on there. New down here, and new under there. With a bit of extra sleeve because it's just close to the bolts and the block there. So I think that'll do the job. Right, what's next? Oh, some vacuum lines. Down to there. And the vacuum line on the back. My roller's nearly empty. Being this was an LS400, it had a solenoid for the fuel pressure control. I put a Celsius ECU in it, automatically deleted EGR, and don't need that VSV. There we go, bit of tube there. And the idle up. Hey, this roller hose has got 4 ends. Not ideal. This was the one that had the lead going through the cover. Man. Problem solved. And I've also got new pieces of rubber for these. Which, yes, I know it's kind of weird, but I'm using up some of the spares that have been laying around. So even though I don't have the leads on it yet, I've just popped this in so I can run a length of hose down to that idle up. They normally run sort of like that, and they've normally clipped in there. That clip doesn't exist at the moment. This particular vehicle, the air intake looked like this. It may have been broken. And then over this side there was some silicone, and I just could pop my finger through it. So I found a replacement. Use the hose clamp. And this piece of hose is quite supple. Oh, that's quite nice. We'll get rid of this, because I have also found a brand new one. Check that out. Woo-hoo-hoo. Brand new.